So, welcome. This conversation is with women who are making change in the world and understanding how the heck they are making time for fun and laughter in their lives when there's so many of us just getting by in our day to day. How do these women have time for moving big mountains and keeping their lives vibrant and light at the same time? Or are they? Before we find out, this is how I defined changing the world. I was recently out for dinner with some girlfriends and we're off to a comedy show this weekend. I was telling them all about this upcoming episode. I wanted to get their thoughts and start percolating some ideas. And one of my friends asked, she said, "Well, what defines a woman that's changing the world?" And that actually stopped me in my tracks, going, "Well, that's a great question." So I took some time and did some reflections. And this is what this means to me. Ultimately, it's a woman who's changing the world is anyone who takes intentional actions to leave it better than she has found it, no matter what the scale. It means making meaningful improvements in the lives of others. It means challenging status quo to do better. It can be transforming one life, one community, or a system. It's inspiring others to take actions with her, lift others up to do so. It's a woman who is breaking the barriers, finding outside the box solutions. It's a woman who continues to push forward when facing setbacks or when people are trying to stop her. It's walking the talk. It's her actions that align with the integrity and the values that you're talking about. It's a woman who remains humble, grounded, approachable, and open for growth. Here's some stats to throw away about women. So, according to the World Economic Forum, women represent 47% of leadership roles in non government and membership organizations. Female entrepreneurs make up 43% of all global entrepreneurs. Women hold nearly 57% of CEO or executive director positions in the US nonprofits. This is a lot of women that are busy making change. They're busy balancing their lives and they're busy juggling all these balls. I'm going to pause right there and I'm going to turn to Mark for a second. He just heard me rattle off what I was thinking about. Is this how you would deem a woman changing the world?
Well, number 1 is I wanted to recognize I am the only non-identified woman, and you go to me first.
Yes,
Like,
I
I
love
already I
it.
already have guilt about this. You know what I was actually thinking about? I was thinking about, this quote by Lawrence Purcell Jacks, another dude, right? But what he was talking about was, how as we're moving up, as we're, getting these career goals and stuff like that, that we start getting labeled as sort of
Yes.
like people who separate work from play. And if you are to move up in the world, you have to put away the fun and focus more on the career, more on the things that are adulting. And so, what I'm most curious about is how today we're going to be talking about no, no, it's not. Lawrence Purcell Jacks says, at the end of the day, if we do what we love, work and play will be blurred. And so what I'm curious about today is
Mm.
hearing our guests talking about how they blur work and play, or if they don't, you know?
Excellent. Okay, that's
Uh,
fantastic perspective. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Okay, and Mark. Okay, it's time to introduce the guests. We do welcome shortly Marianne. She's going to pop in later. She's a physician, so she's busy helping a patient right now. She's a leader of healthcare change, and she is a woman who is talking and walking the talk about health. And I'd like to introduce Anita. Anita is an economic leader of change and an advocate. And she is a woman who quietly sees you with her heart of gold. We're here with Ariane. She's a photographer. She is a community leader and giver. And she's a woman who inspires community to walk with her making change. So, welcome, ladies.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Woo! Need some fireworks.
Yay!
We can count an Ariane for that. So we're going to kick off with our guest fun challenge. I asked each guest to dole out 3 compliments to do the day of the reporting and be prepared to share those compliments and how that made them feel. Anita, I'm going to start with you.
So I did my homework and it was fun. I said to 3 different people, "You are amazing. You make a difference.
Hmm.
You always look awesome."
Hmm.
And, that made me feel like I was making a difference in their day.
Hmm.
Um, Actually improving their productivity because I uplifted their minds, their souls, because someone noticed them. Someone noticed something positive about them. And that is part of the fun movement is to uplift people.
Mhm. And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel great. Like I don't do it because I want to feel great. I do it
Mhm.
because it is something that I feel that I have to say about someone, and I do it often in my life.
Mm.
And I think it really makes a difference. I mean, when you're in a leadership position, and in the various leadership positions that I've been in, it just is second nature to me.
Very lovely. Thank you, Anita. Marianne.
You know, I would in saying, kind of following Anita, I totally give compliments all the time without even thinking of it being a compliment. It's just almost like a "Oh my gosh, I love that jacket. Oh, I love" it's like these little mini compliments, but kind of a bigger one that I gave today. And in my mind, I thought, "Oh, I'm actually being really nice." It was to my sister. Uh, my sister and I do so much together, but we really get on each other's. We don't. I should say we get on each other's nerves. We don't argue or anything like that, but we bug each other. And we were taught. She was talking about we go thrifting all the time, and she found this a bunch of stuff. And in my mind, I was thinking, "Oh God, more stuff." But instead, I was like, "You know what? You know what? I'm gonna give her a compliment today." And I told her, "You really have an eye for finding really incredible items
Mm.
store." And I think she was a little bit like, "Whoa," taken aback. And normally, like, because my sister and we're very similar. We're both huge thrifters. We love that kind of stuff. We love finding things for other people. And it's so weird. Probably half the time it's probably junk and people are like, "Oh God, that's trash." But everybody loves to get things too, even if it's for a minute or two, and then you're like, okay. But anyways, I thought it was really fun kind of to rethink how I talk to her. And normally, because we're always kind of have a banter, it was like, oh well, my sister's being nice to me today. But I totally agree. I love just chatting with people everywhere that I go. That's the way in. When you walk into a room and you feel nervous, just find something to say nice to someone and you've made yourself a new friend. So I find
Yeah, it's a connection.
every day, let's just do that. You know, anytime I feel like walking into a room a little bit nervous and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I don't know anybody here. I don't know if I want to be here. Okay, turn on the charm, turn on the compliments, and just find someone that you're like, I love that shirt, and be authentic. Obviously, I'm not telling people I really like
Mhm.
something if it's if I don't, but
Oh, lovely.
a lot of
So
people.
when you shared that unexpected compliment to your sister, how did you feel when you did that?
I actually felt really good, and I really was like, "Gotta do this. I gotta spin it when sometimes when I'm like, I just want to be like, oh God, don't buy any more stuff or whatever. It's like, you know what, just take it down a notch and spin it and see if you can find a compliment somewhere in there." And then it felt better. It feels good,
Yeah,
It was good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Well, Psychology Today says sharing compliments has a huge positive effect, not just for the person that you're giving it to, but also to you yourself. And it's also contagious. So there's great likelihood those people that you complimented now are complimenting other people who then are complimenting other people. So it's just this fantastic domino effect of feeling good all around. And I did some more homework. I did test this question out to another podcast, and they're from Scandinavia. So I wanted to see if it would be the same in Canada as it would be, say, in Norway or Sweden. And Mark, is it? Were the responses the same or was there a difference? Do you remember?
I number one is I'm taken back because I think that Psychology Today article, didn't you quote that in the last podcast
Well,
too?
yes, but I got something else going on here.
Mm. Uh,
Yes.
was it the same or I would say it's sort of the psychological mechanism of like when you give something out, you receive something back. I'm sure that if we go back and listen to the the other podcast, there would probably be some nuances there that are culturally different, but just
Mhm.
listening to this, right, it feels very similar to that.
It does, yeah, so I did wanna do my own little fun experiment to see
Okay.
again across countries if the response was going to be similar, and it actually is, so, we'll write that up in psychology today. But I have something new that I wanna share out. So this, was a theory, that I've read about is complimenting your challenges. So I was listening actually to another podcast, and this gentleman was really talking about instead of saying I have to do this today. I have to get this done. I have to do this presentation. It's like I get to do this today. So it's just like flipping it and complimenting like your own challenges. So talking about how this is a great learning moment or this is a great teacher or this is a good stepping stone. So this is a way again how to really flip our own psychology and compliment ourselves in our challenges because it reframes us and it helps us create this resilient mindset. So that I wanted to add that today for us and the listeners to start thinking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I have to do this too. I get to do this. This is an honor that I get to do this.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. It's
Absolutely. Yeah.
some additional thinking on the
Mhm.
compliment angle.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, let's dive into now all the questions I peppered you with ahead of time that I was going to be coming your way. So impact and play. Can women who are changing the world find time for play and fun? This is what we want to get out of the conversation today.
Mhm.
So I'm going to start with Ariane.
Mhm.
So, what does moving mountains, changing the world look like in your life right now? And what's your vision about changing the world? What does that look like?
Well, I think that it definitely starts within yourself and it starts within your circle of friends and with your family and your friends. And then it goes beyond, like what you said, when you compliment somebody or when you take care of somebody, that positiveness takes them to wherever they're going in their next step. So I find that I never wake my children up in a get up, we gotta go, blah, blah, blah. It's never a frenzy. It's always like, this is your life like you said, you get to do this. You get to get up today. You get to go to school and you get to have a good breakfast. And if you don't want,
Mm,
and there is lots of times where they don't want to. And it's like, okay, well, then you're not going to get this. Like, you're not going to go for, I don't know, a Slurpee after or whatever. I mean, there's a way you have to work with children. But I mean, my kids are a little bit older now, so I don't necessarily bribe them as much. But I definitely feel that moving mountains starts really close to home. And once you kind of work out that, you can move on towards the bigger picture, trying to change rules and regulations, trying to change the world in different ways, giving back. What can you give back? You can't give back anything if you don't take care of yourself first. So I feel like anybody can move mountains, literally anybody who has any kind of voice. And you can, and by moving mountains is exactly what we kind of talked about before, was starting small, start wherever you can. It doesn't cost any money, it might not even cost very much time. I definitely feel like once you figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, just one step at a time can definitely change the trajectory of your world and everybody else's world around you. I really do like to put laughter in everything. Like people know that if you're going to be around me, you're probably going to be smiling until I feel like I'm no longer being respected. So there's a very fine line where I can be, ha ha ha, this is great and fun. And then, sometimes I can go, okay, you know what? I feel like I'm no longer being respected in what I'm bringing to the table. So then I have to be a little more harsh. And because that's so rare, it's when it happens, people go, oh, okay, I may have stepped on, I may have done something. So I do feel like you can move mountains and you can be kind almost the entire way doing it. And you can bring joy around you. And most of the time, it's brought right back to you tenfold.
So tell me, Ariane, like what are the actions you're doing about like what are you doing? I know you do a lot of community work. You've got a great group of women that you have collectively brought to make change in our community. So tell us
Oh,
a bit
yeah.
about that and what's your vision?
Well, the first thing I do whenever I go out and anything is I put on some bright lipstick. And I'll tell you why. It's I know it sounds ridiculous. I'm a very girly girl. You can't walk into a room and be sad in the corner by yourself with bright lipstick. Someone's always gonna come and talk to you. I'm not even
Love it.
you wear all black and you put bright lipstick, someone's gonna talk to you. It might be a creep, might be some creepy guy or creepy girl, but you still got somebody talking to you, you're not alone, okay? But usually it's not. Usually it's other people that are like, "Oh," you bump into them, you're smiling. What is my vision or what is the
Yeah, what are you doing to change the world, and what's your vision of
I
changing the
definitely
world?
feel like I was put on this earth to help to help. I don't want to say empower women, but because you that empower belongs in you. I don't do anything, you already have it. It's just almost like pulling it and helping, giving you a platform to be the to give the positive that you already have inside you, like to pull it out when sometimes it's not there. But I think that building the women around me, building them up is what is that? There's that saying, right? Oh, I have to think of it about the rising waters, rises all
Mm,
boats, something like that. It's so, so true because every time you bring somebody up with you, everybody everybody rises.
mhm,
And so very rarely when you come into a room and you're speaking to women or you're talking or men, it's really honestly it's mostly women. I don't speak with a ton of men about positively and body empowerment and all that kind of stuff, but I do talk to a lot of women and I feel like as long as if you continue rising, everybody
mm,
comes along with you. And the superpower is seeing when someone is not.
mm,
Seeing someone else has not followed. It's not the right term, but has not risen along with everybody else. Why is it not? I'm not an expert or professional or a therapist, but I am a person and a human and another woman that has gone through a lot of different life challenges to be able to see usually, you know, not pointing them out in public, but just maybe reaching out and being like, hey, just check in, see if everything's okay. Sometimes, they're fine, it's just a bad day, but sometimes more than not, I will get that message that says, "Oh my god, ugh, I just need to unload." And
mm,
I'll just vent, just unload. No, no, now I won't laugh and joke or anything. I'll just listen.
mhm.
And like I can talk a lot, but also, a huge thing is just sometimes
Being there.
just
Yeah.
listen. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, I digressed from the whole vision, but I do all
Well,
all
I've got lifting women up,
yeah.
and tell us a bit about some of the work you've done. Like I know you've raised funds for mental health, and I know you raised funds for the food bank. And it seems to me, from the outside, is that you really integrate your life around giving.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say I always say to my husband too, I'm like, one day I'm gonna be a philanthropist and I'm gonna make money. I'm just gonna be able to give money. And obviously that day I don't know when it's gonna come because I've been a photographer for 20 years and I'm not rolling in dough. But I am happy. That's success to me. So I do feel like I do love giving back. And I guess that's an egotistical thing. It is a real thing where it's like, you know what? I can bring people together and raise money in a way that sometimes it's hard for people to do.
Mhm.
And I think that when we come together for whatever reason, oftentimes I will find a charity that is in a lot of people have been talking about. So like the last one was for mental health. And I feel like that is just like the key word of 2024 was your mental health, was everybody's mental health. So that was an easy one. We raised a ton of money very, very easily from people in the community that were feeling like they needed somewhere to give back. They just didn't know where it was. And then the past, it's been for transition homes. I have lived in transition homes as a child throughout all of my teen years. So for me, that was like something that hit me in the heart. I was like, I need to help with that. Obviously, food bank always needs food and little things along the way. Red Cross, whatever it is, it's never just one thing, and that's the ADHD in me, and, I'm medicated, but you can't tell. Imagine I wasn't, but it's one of those it's just consistently finding places that need a little bit of help, and because we have such a huge network of women around me, and men. And actually, for the mental health, it was mostly the men. The men,
Mhm.
in droves that I've never seen before at any other event that I put on. Um, in how can I help? Where how can I be part of this with you? So that was huge. That made me realize, okay, this is something I need to focus on
Yeah. Thank
throughout.
you. Well, thank you for having ADHD and being able to do 1,000 things at once to make
My doctor
change.
just doubled my dose today. Not even joking. Oh
And
boy.
thank you. I would claim you a philanthropist. You don't need to be having gobs of money that you're throwing out. You just need to have the heart to give. So I would call you a philanthropist. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mhm. No, I don't remember my parents, or I moved out very young. I was 15 when I moved out. So that's a whole nother podcast we'll one day we'll do. But I don't remember ever seeing that in my life. But I have friends around me that have suffered, and especially with mental health, with many different things. It's always a personal, someone will tell me a personal story, and I'll be like, okay. When I pick that person, I'm like, you're going to help me. We're going to do this together. So I don't ever do this alone. I've never done anything alone. It's always with other people.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, Anita, tell us about your mountains and your vision for change in the world.
Well, my career has been with the Surrey Board of Trade for 31 years, and I just left in August of last year. And but I continue on, really committing myself to economic development, trying to realize people's dreams. And I'm with the Royal Canadian Navy. I'm an honorary captain. I used to be a trustee for the National Film Board for Canada. I just finished my tenure as co-chair of Canada's Disability Business Inclusion Council. All of these roles are serious, and sometimes I'm the only woman around the table, and it is hard to be fun,
Mhm.
so to speak. But what's fun to me is navigating through the complex challenges of any given project and trying to realize an organization's dreams. And that's what's fun to me. And, I make time here and there for, of course, a glass of wine, travel, all of that, date nights with my husband, dancing, all of that. But, what really is fun for me is getting around that table, going through those complex challenges, and making a difference, whether it's to Surrey, which is where I live, or whatever the project may be at hand. And so, my vision for moving mountains is realizing people's dreams.
Mm.
And that's a journey, a day by day journey. And for myself, I just see great intrinsic value in my soul when I do that and when I am able to accomplish that.
And Anita, what can you give us a little story on what one of those organization dreams that you helped come true?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Surrey Board of Trade is a really good example, and that's how I met Trina so long
Mhm.
ago. And every single business I believe that I've interacted with, I've made a difference with. But the organization itself, when I first started, no one really knew it. It had no brand profile. Very complex industry, the Chamber of Commerce Board of Trade industry, and very very quickly connecting those dots between government advocacy, workforce development, being a lobbyist, marketing, communications, community development, dealing with politicians, dealing with different personalities. We did. I mean, now we're one of the top 5 chambers of commerce boards of trades in Canada. There's 430 of them, And I was proud to leave the organization in that state, by navigating, um, these very complex challenges and realizing a dream that really, my board of directors had so long ago to be the best of the best.
That's big stuff, Anita. And I want to share out the dream that Anita helped me with. So I started a development director role with a charity called SOS Children's Village. And this was a village where foster children lived and foster families lived. And what it was fixing at the time was typically foster children move in the foster care system. So they're moving with their garbage bags, they're moving home to home, they're changing schools, they're changing rooms, they're changing the families they live with. And that attachment is awful, right? They're already, have abandonment issues and drug and alcohol effects. And now we're moving these kids. So the intent of the village was the kids moved in, and if the foster families had to move, they moved out, but the kids would stay. So that was their community, that was their backyard, that was their neighborhood, that was their school, and they would stay there long term. And the piece I had to wrangle in my new role was building new homes. I don't know how to do a capital campaign. I didn't know how to pop up 4 new houses. And so I knocked on Anita's door. I said, "Hello, my name's Trina. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me?" And she said, "Come on in." And so that's a great example of Anita making a dream come true as we're able to build homes. And she connected, up with developers and builders and sponsorship and corporate help and builders and plans and architects, and the whole list goes on. So that's a little example of Anita making a dream come true for an organization.
I
So
I I can't be quiet anymore. I can't be quiet. I gotta ask a question for Anita. Anita, I can hear someone listening to this podcast right now being like, "I wanna be Anita." Like, when
Mm.
you think about it, like, what was that first step that you took? Or were you always involved in multiple things since you were young?
Well, I've always been involved, in multiple things, even in, high school, but, I had no idea I was going to do this. I was in university, I applied for a summer job at the Chamber of Commerce, and I was only 19 years old, and I had no idea what I was gonna do. And, it was just such an amazing experience to have this work experience blended with my education, for university,
Mm,
and, it just kinda all came together. You just have to surround yourself with the right people, and everything comes together. I mean, there's challenges, there's people that get in the way, sometimes there's nasty people, right? But, somehow you just have to persevere and focus on the vision at hand.
got it. Got it.
Thank you. Miriam, welcome. You're joining Anita and Ariane, two dynamos making change in the world. So, what's your vision of changing the world? What does that look like? What mountains are you moving?
Oh. Oh, the mountains are
Yes.
very, very, very heavy.
Let's hear them. I got big shoulders.
Yeah. Oh, um, I don't know if it's the mountains to move, but I would love to have a community to help me mountain move. So I don't think one person can do anything like of that kind. I think I've realized over the years of being a family doctor, a healthcare leader, an advocate, that you need a community. And so for me, I think my North Star has been to be able to push the dial on equity for women specifically, and equity in healthcare. And when you have that value at hand, you can make great decisions for yourself, because if it aligns with your values, you move it
Mm,
forward. So it's been really nice, actually. It's been I was listening to Anita and I was like, oh, she's a doer. You could
Mhm.
tell. And I'm sure Ariane is too. And the doers and the hyperachievers of the world, it's hard to say no, because you want to kind of move so many different mountains, but I realized that I have to ground myself in those values in order to move the forefront forward. And, it's easier because I'm a physician, so I'm already a public servant, right? So I see patients, but it's frustrating because a lot of the healthcare system doesn't work the way we would like it to work. Patients get frustrated. So I started a not for profit about 7 years ago. Yeah, it's almost 7 years ago now, where we would just give tools and insights for women in particular when it comes to just navigating your health. It was a local success story, and it's still going on. We still have, corporate events, non-corporate events, public events. And then I actually got drawn into leadership and was able to take out all my frustration and burnout of being a family doctor to really find a way to work with very phenomenal women and men. Um, Men allies as well. And these, specifically the women that I worked with, they were called the we were called the Yaya Sisterhood. um, and we were very nimble, and we were able to recently achieve a pretty phenomenal payment model for community family doctors. And that was a big win for us. So when that happened, it was like, oh, yes, we can change. We can start making some changes. And that's a really big sort of, when you change a healthcare policy that caliber, you realize that, oh, all of a sudden, another 250,000 patients have access to family doctors. But I mean, we're just like, we're not moving mountains. We're just moving like, just like we're creating trails to slowly.
Well, Miriam, I think that's a very humble response because that is a big mountain. And just perspective to the listeners, uh, people physicians were fleeing the system. Your physicians were walking out the door and leaving the practices behind, and or nobody was taking over their practices if I wanted to retire. And by actually fairly paying physicians what they deserve to be paid, just like any one of us in our careers would be advocating to get a fair pay, physicians have been significantly underpaid for years and years and years. And so Miriam's that's a big mountain that she moved with. I know a lot of people, but, that's a big mountain. It wasn't a trail, in my opinion. That was an upward climb, that one. So thank you for that. Thank you.
No, yeah, it was obviously it was a team of us in negotiations,
Mhm.
and we worked with multiple organizations. We worked with grassroots roots doctors. We worked with our patients. We worked with media. I mean, we were nimble,
Mhm.
and I think the chief negotiator had no idea what
What
the
was
heck he was
coming?
doing. He was like, "What are you doing?"
Well, I'm glad you caught the negotiator off guard. That's awesome.
Well, we kind of went outside of traditional
Mhm.
lines. I can tell you that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly do a round table. You have a free Saturday. It's very rare. It's a whole day. You got a whole 8 hours, and your best friend comes out up to you, says, "What do you want to do?" Ariane, what are you gonna do? One thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Saturdays are always free for me. I always leave them open, and Friday nights are my nights with my friends. So we always go for a glass of wine.
Nice.
So yeah, Friday night's my glass of wine. Saturday, I don't know what's gonna happen. We just take a tally of what's going on and go from there. Like
What
idea
would you choose? What would you choose? What's your one thing? I have a whole day. My best friend comes.
shopper.
Sorry?
I'm a shopper. I'm a
Let's go
thrifter. I
shopping.
wanna go thrifting. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I support that. I support that. Thank you. Anita, what are you doing for the day?
Well, I would go somewhere where there's live music,
Mm.
dancing,
Mm.
wine, of course,
Mhm.
and amazing snacks or cuisine or whatever. I need
Mm.
the whole bundle package in order to spend that quality time with my
I'm gonna
buddy.
join you after I go thrifting. We'll go. I like live music and wine.
Meet
I'm
you
not
for
gonna
happy hour
go.
at 3. All right, Marianne, you got a whole Saturday available. Best friend says, "Let's go." Where are you going? What are you doing?
Yeah, so for me, it all depends which best friend. So I have best friends that are very sporty,
Yep.
sporty. So we would definitely meet up to go either skiing or hiking or playing tennis, because that's just been a form of calming the mind for
Mhm.
me. And it's been very nice and sort of grounding voice for me to just kind of calm things down. Don't think of all your to-do lists. And because I work is endless for me.
Mhm.
And I'm sure for everybody. And you have to really be intentional around kind of putting it aside. And for me, I'm a big friend person as
Mm.
well. And then after my sports, I would meet up with the friends that are maybe not so sporty, and we'd go and socialize wherever it is, be it at a nice cafe or go to a nice restaurant or go to a nice show or play. Or actually, we're also Persian, so we'd entertain a lot, or we'd have everybody over at our house and we'd entertain and we'd make food, and we're big foodies, my husband and I, so we do entertain. So it all depends on who's around, what they're up to doing. But I realize I'm a bit of a um extroverted introvert, so I like my alone time, but I
Mm.
really just to recharge. But I love the my soulful
Mhm.
friends that really feed that part of me that they just I can be my authentic self no matter what. I can be as silly as I want to be, and they're just like, oh, there's Miriam, not the negotiator Miriam.
The silly one.
Yeah, the silly one. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, I would join all of you, so let me know when your plans are, and I'm coming shopping, dancing, hiking. I'm doing it all, and eating. Okay, Ariane, one of your questions was what role does fun and laughter play in helping you sustain the energy needed for your vision of change?
I really like to find humor in almost anything that needs
Mm.
to have fine. Obviously, there's a fine line, but you, actually, the fine line is very, very fine because even in things such as death or sad things that are happening around us, there's always something that you can find, not necessarily humorous, but something that you can find that's light, or you can twist it and turn it and make it so that it's not quite as heavy as it can be. So I definitely find that that is it's a huge, huge part of every single thing that I am navigating in life is finding a little bit of humor and joy, and also, which sounds maybe it sounds weird, but grace in finding giving people grace in so many different situations, and oftentimes that is leads with a smile. In that many I may not know what you're going through, but I'll give you that grace.
Mm.
Um, I can't remember what your actual main question was there.
How does fun and laughter help you have the energy to move your
Oh,
mountains?
yes. Yeah, yeah. No,
Mhm.
that giving in that reciprocation of whether someone, almost everybody smiles back or that's where I get the energy.
Mm.
Energy just it's there. That
Thank
and
you.
ADHD. Constant.
Thank you. Miriam, do you think there's stigma around women being too playful or not serious enough? And how has that influenced you or affected you?
That's a very good question. I remember as a medical student when I was younger, I used to always wear glasses thinking that I'm just going to look a little bit more serious and a
Mm.
little bit more
Mm.
intellectual,
Mhm.
walking around. Um, and I used to visit my patients sort of very proper, because the last thing they would think I am would be that I was a doctor or a medical student. They would just automatically assume I was a nurse. And it was interesting. I walked in on this really cute patient who was talking to his buddy at the age of 85, and he kept saying, "Yeah, it's okay in the hospital. I just haven't seen a single doctor at this hospital. And here I am visiting this man every day." And I was like, "Excuse me, can I have your phone?"
I've been wearing
I like grab the phone and I talk to his buddy. I'm like, hello, this is Dr.
yeah.
Zainadin. By the
I've been
way,
wearing these
your
glasses for you
friend
every
here,
single day.
your friend here has been seeing a doctor. And he goes, you're the doctor?
Mm,
How come you don't say you're the doctor? I'm like, I do. I don't know.
mm,
But you all look the same. You
mm.
all dress the same. The nurses and the doctors look the same. And I was like, hmm. But it was hilarious. And then he was just so chummy with me after that. But it's been difficult. Yeah, it's that sort of, I think I do tell my students and my residents though, be
Mm,
yourself. Really tap into and be centered in who you are, and be curious, listen to your patients, and your humor will just come
mhm,
out, because it's some of the situations that we get into is so bleak and so painful. I
mm,
mean, I was came out of a maid, and maid is, my patient had end stage cancer, and she had a whole party actually, and she kept looking at me going, do I look good? And I'm
mm,
like, yes, you look amazing.
mm,
And we're laughing and crying, we had all these emotions, but it was light and it was
mm,
beautiful.
mm,
It was the most beautiful ceremony I've been part of, and I feel very grateful to be part of these people's lives.
mhm.
So for me, humor is what made me marry my
Mm,
husband.
lovely. Lovely. And for those that don't know, the listeners, MAID is medical assisted in dying, and it's people's choice to die on their own terms, again, with a party and with their lipstick on and having laughter. And there's many physicians that are involved in that process, which Miriam, it sounds like you are. So, uh,
Yes, but note, you cannot do that just
no,
randomly.
correct.
You
Yeah.
have to have
Yes.
an
Meet the
end stage
criteria.
cancer.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Not everybody gets to choose
Just
it.
please don't come and request this randomly from.
No. So thank you. Thank you for that. So around this seriousness of a physician, do you think, and when you've talked to your students, do you think this has changed over generations, or do you think this playfulness is still there?
Well, there's a fine line, right? So there's a way of being professional, and there's a way of actually being yourself and
Mm,
authentic. So a lot of times we are actually taught in medical school, you know, don't touch your patient, or they say, of course you can laugh with your patient, you can
mm,
speak kindly, and you can even, throw a joke here and there. But we've definitely, pushed it a little bit more, that we're more and more authentically
mhm, mhm,
ourselves, and that has humanized
mhm,
us as physicians, and people love it. People love the fact that they're actually speaking to human, and it's not this
mhm,
hierarchical, patriarchal kind of
mhm.
way of seeing medicine. And it's beautiful, actually.
Nice.
It's
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Anita, I've got a tough question for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Do you feel that neglecting fun has ever made you lose sight of why you started moving mountains in the first place?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you've been in a position as stressful, all consuming, you put your heart and soul into it, as you do, anyone that works for a board of trade chamber of commerce, they stay there because they believe in it, in the work for their
Mm,
community or for their city. You burn out. And I was one of those people, those unusual people that stay in a position for a long time, unheard of these days, and you lose yourself. You know, I did try to have fun, and but for the most part, my days were serious. But I made time during the weekends to have fun. My social life, the fun stuff was, work related. So I always tried to have fun at work in the evenings, at social events. And, but it really does take its toll. And then sometimes you lose sight of why you're doing it in the
mm,
first place.
mm,
And so, now I'm on contract, with Western Community College, Surrey's Health and Technology District, supporting them with their different property assets. And I have a little bit more balance. And I work really fast. I am, a triple A plus personality. And, so in addition to all of that, I still do my Navy work, but I am now finding time to have fun with my husband. When I left the Board of Trade, my husband said to me, "Finally, I have my wife
Mm,
back."
mm.
And, but you know what? This is only the beginning of my next chapter, and having fun is going to be a part of that.
Okay. So, question, did you know that your husband was missing his fun wife?
I knew that to a certain extent, but I think, I was so driven, and he's so busy with his own businesses as well, and so we didn't really realize it until we take our annual vacations around
Mm,
Christmas and New Year's, and we try
mhm,
to do that every year.
mhm,
But, and then you get back to life, right?
mhm,
We went to Europe recently, and someone said to us, "I used to live in Canada, and it's go, 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 go."
Mm.
And that's why I didn't retire here, he said. "I have my own business here in Lisbon." We went to Portugal. And but I still find time to spend time with my family, to have fun.
mm,
And I have a balanced life. And I don't need to make loads and loads of money. I don't need to work 18-hour days.
mhm.
Um, and so he's so happy over there.
Hmm. Ariane, what are your warning signs when you do start to neglect your fun and play? What's your warning signs?
When I start not liking what I'm doing. So when it comes to work
Ah,
wise. So when I start going,
mhm,
oh my God, I don't want to go into the studio today. I know that I need to bump up that fun meter a little bit. And the fun
mm,
meter could just be, hanging out with a friend or going for a walk or whatever. Um, it's definitely that burnout feeling, and I've been a photographer now for over 20 years, which is insane, and I feel like I never lasted more than a year at any job until I started doing this job, and actually wasn't a job, it was a hobby that turned into a job, and I can't believe I'm still doing it. I went to school for so many different things, and this is what I ended up doing. I still don't know what I wanna be when I grow up, though, so that one's still happening. But yeah, it's when I start going, "Oh, I don't feel like going to work today." That's when I know I'm lacking
Mhm. Your
lacking on the fun.
spidey senses come up and
Yeah.
yeah, that's great that you actually are aware of that, of yourself. I think that's the toughest part is recognizing that. Am I just tired or, is there
Yeah.
something else going on? And, but what you recognize that that's your
Yeah.
sign.
Oh, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah.
Maria, my question to you, do you think making space for fun makes you more effective at creating change? Why or why not?
absolutely. I think in order to create change, you have to be curious and you have to be quite creative. And your creative mind doesn't actually work when your body's in constant sympathetic nervous system drive. Your sympathetic nervous system drive fires when you're under chronic stress. In fact, very high functioning individuals like myself can function even under sympathetic nervous system drive. But when it fires at that caliber in a chronic way, what happens is all of a sudden you'll have physical symptoms. All of a sudden you'll have back pain, you'll have neck pain,
Mm,
you'll have, you'll get tired, you'll feel that burnout in your job, like Ariane was saying. And then you'll start kind of either going towards the anxiety route to where it's like you've had like 7 cups of coffee and you're so wired and you wake up in the morning with a very, very high cortisol level. And you're like, oh, I'm kind of vibrating when I wake up. Those are sort of my signs where I realize, okay. And so when I even go on vacation, note to self, how long does it take you to actually turn into your parasympathetic nervous system where your body's calm? And for me, if it starts, if it's like, if I go right into the parasympathetic nervous system, I have a fairly balanced life. But if I am working hard and then I take this, it's med physicians are very sort of work hard, party hard kind of personalities. And what happens to them is that they work really hard till the last minute before they go on vacation, which a lot of type A personalities do as well. So I'm looking at you, Anita.
Triple A plus
And
personality.
I, yeah, all of you. And then you go on vacation, you're like, well, I need to be relaxed. Like, I've got a whole week. And it takes you like 4 days to just get into the okay, I don't need to check my
Mm,
emails. Okay, I don't need to do any of these
mm,
things. So for me, what I've noticed, even in negotiations, if I don't have that balance and if I want to be an effective healthcare leader, I can't be reactive. And what happens to chronic stressors with somebody's in chronic stress, you almost go into that reactivity faster as well. So, be able to actually keep yourself centered, be able to be responsive, be able to walk away and say, oh, okay, my body is actually reacting to something, and have that body awareness. You need to have that presence so you're not hijacked by the sympathetic nervous system. And for me, fun, I would say, is equal to engaging my
mm,
soul. So fun doesn't have to be just fun with my girlfriends. It could be, I just need to sit in a really beautiful space in
mm,
my home, have a cup of
mhm,
coffee.
mhm,
And that's my engaging the soul. So
mhm,
I try to inject those moments in my day at least 4 or 5 times a
ooh.
day, even when I have a crazy life, crazy, crazy life. I actually like literally will tell my staff, I'm going to go for a walk. And they're like, oh, she's not well. But then they know, like, I just need to ground myself. I need to go and come back. And then they're like, oh, you good now? I'm like, yes, I'm great.
You just need to have a
So,
soulful moment.
yes,
Mhm,
you need to have a
mhm,
little mini soulful
mhm,
moments, like I pump up the music that I adore on my drive
mhm,
home,
mhm,
and it actually resets
mhm.
me.
I love that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Anita, do you ever feel the pressure to justify your playful moments to others or to yourself, even to yourself?
Well, yeah, I mean, life is, especially my life, is focused on productivity, results, goals.
Mm,
But fun is not overrated. Fun is absolutely needed. It actually enhances, after a weekend of having fun, for example, I'm there on Monday, Tuesday, and my creativity, my productivity, my energy is on a high. And I don't apologize for that. I don't apologize for my vacations,
mhm,
either, because I need that reset. Yes, sometimes I work until the very last day and I get sick on my vacations. This past vacation, I didn't get sick, which was
mm,
the first time ever.
mm,
So that says something in and of itself. But I find that if I'm dancing or if I'm spending time with friends, traveling, doing whatever, that's not work related, it balances out what I need to do to be productive, to be results oriented, and to really deliver those results that people are expecting of me.
mhm. Thank you. All right, I've got a tough question for all of you. So, has putting fun on the back burner in your life at any point affected your mental health, your relationships at any point in your life? And if so, what did you do about it? Mary, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. Yeah. So I've had burnout twice in my
mm,
life, fairly severe burnout. So my first burnout was in between my first and second child. I actually went into postpartum
mm,
depression. But nobody knew because I was so high
Mm.
functioning. I would go to work and I would put up, put this sort of like, everything's great kind of face. And then I would come home and I would crash. And I had nothing more to give. I had nothing. And I remember Anita saying, her husband was like, "Where are you? Like, I kind of miss you." And my husband was the same. My husband was like, "Miriam, this is terrible. Like, you're not even here. You literally have your best time to give to your patients, and then you have no more." And I would, for someone that's very social, can you imagine saying, "No, I can't go to this party. It's too loud. I can't see too many people. It's just too much for me." Like I was almost overstimulated constantly. And then I actually reached out to my physician only when I started getting chronic lower back pain.
Mm.
So it had to be a physical symptom in order for me to reach out to her, which is very sad because it means that somewhere in the back burner, there is a little bit of a stigma in my head. There was at the time, and I've been very vocal about it. She helped me immensely. I started on anti-anxiety medication at the time, which saved me. But I started really focusing on just taking care of myself, hence a whole not for profit for caring for yourself. So imagine I was like, okay, accountability. Okay, so if I'm going to have to take care of myself and I preach this to my patients, I cannot be the one not doing it. So it's been life changing actually to go through that experience. And then it's very also humbling to go through another
Mm.
burnout because you're like, it will never happen to me
Mhm.
again because I've been there before. Oh, no, no. It can happen to you again because you
Mhm.
forget. You forget what are the elements, where are the red signs, where are the red flags. And for me, I was a big doer and my profession was dying. And I was like, nope, let's put the armor on and let's go. And I went for probably a little bit too long. And my body crashed and my body speaks to me. So if your body speaks to you, thank it.
Mhm.
If your body gives you pain, thank the
Mm.
pain. The worst is when your body doesn't speak to you and all of a sudden you come and your doctor says you have cancer or you have heart
Mm.
disease or you have some autoimmune disease, which a lot of females get due to chronic stress. So my body again spoke to me and I listened to it. And I actually was going to take a sabbatical. I took away time from work, but I couldn't because it was COVID.
Mm.
And then, and then now I take regular breaks every 2 months or so. I take a week off and I don't apologize to my patients. Before I used to always
Mm.
apologize to my patients. I'm so sorry I'm away this week. You get to see my locum. And this time I'm like, no, actually, I'm going away because I want to last as
Yes.
long as I can for you.
Yes. Go on more vacations. Have
Yeah,
more soulful
exactly. Well, just
moments.
mini
Mhm.
vacations. Apparently, mini vacations
Mhm.
are studies have shown that even mini vacations, even 4-day vacations,
Mhm.
more regularly, can boost your mental health and physical well
Mhm.
being and your
Mhm.
productivity. Uh, as well as you don't have to take 3 weeks
Mhm.
off if you can't.
Mhm.
So I really sort of push that for my patients is like, don't apologize at work. Don't wait till you have to get a medical certificate from me to take medical
Mhm.
leave. But if you need medical leave, you need medical
Mhm.
leave, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, the
So,
best is just giving yourself your own permission slip, really, at the end of the day, giving yourself
yeah,
permission. That's all you need.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Ariane, how about yourself? Have you ever experienced a place where you weren't putting fun in your life and had effects of your mental health or your relationships or
I
something in your life?
I think the only time that kind of the fun was lacking was a little bit during COVID because it was,
Mm.
we all were there. We don't need to talk about it, but I feel like
Mhm.
that was kind of the main time. And the funny thing is, I kept on having panic attacks, and I had no idea why I was
Mm.
having panic attacks. So I called the ambulance, thought I was having a heart attack. I'm like, oh great, I'm having a heart attack. It's the middle of COVID. they people wouldn't even come in the house. So they're like, "You're one person's gonna come and monitor you." He's like, "It's a panic attack." I'm like, "Why the heck am I having a panic attack?" I'm like, "I'm not doing anything." Well, that's why I was having a panic attack. I was so used to doing things and
Mm,
going out and being
mhm,
social, and I danced and I did aerial silks and I would perform and I did all these things, and all of a sudden it was like, and I think
Mm.
that it went from, okay, well, now I also love my alone time too, so I read a lot and things like that, but it was a lot of reading and a lot of, like, and I'm not a baker, so I was not interested in making soft. So that was when it was like, okay, well, what do we do? How do we change it? So, we built a little fire pit in the backyard and we would do outdoor things and stuff. But I definitely saw that it obviously was creating those panic attacks that I thought were
mm,
heart attacks. And now I
mm,
am able to talk myself down from a
mm,
panic attack. So, but yeah, that's it. That's the only time I definitely do the same thing. I have taken my weekends to myself. That took 18 years to figure out that. And I don't say sorry either. And I do feel guilty though sometimes, but I do, it's just one of those things that you got to do. You got to do that in order to keep on maintaining any kind of work life balance with children,
mhm,
with work, with
mm,
philanthropy, with doing
mhm,
anything with the community. It's very difficult to not have that balance. And I am really good now at planning my vacations with little 3 or 4 day vacations and making sure I have weekends to myself for the most part. I still do things on the weekends for other people and sometimes for work, but for the most part, yeah.
thank
But
you.
panic attacks, man, a Dr. Miriam, I didn't those were heart attacks. I swear they were heart attacks.
Mm.
They weren't, clearly. It
That
was
would have
very
been very scary,
yeah.
very scary. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but it was your body speaking to you.
Yeah.
So, Ariane, I'm almost in a weird way. It's maybe there's something to be
Yeah,
grateful for that you did have a
Uh-huh,
panic attack
uh-huh,
because otherwise maybe you wouldn't have made a drastic
mhm.
totally.
change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Anita, how about for yourself?
Well, yeah, it's
Mm,
really the same. You know that something is wrong when you have chronic back pain, when your stomach is always hurting, when you can't sleep at night,
uh,
and you're always worrying about things. And I would say, especially these past 2 years, the chronic back pain was so like
mm,
nothing that I did
mm.
worked. Um, but as soon as I gave notice,
I
I
can dance
started
again.
feeling better. You just but I just knew it was time to leave, and there's always a time in your life where it's time to go, and I just went to Hawaii for 2 weeks after I gave notice, and I had a lot of fun.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap up with your last question. I know I've been peppering you with lots of questions. So again, this one's gonna go to all of you. So what's your one best lesson or your one advice that you want to share with women who are listening to this podcast on if they feel they can't prioritize fun in their life while chasing their big goal or moving their big mountain? What's your one piece of advice that you would give them? Ariane, I'm gonna start with you.
Well, I guess, you only have one life to live, and it is
Mm,
very bittersweet because 100 years is not enough to do all the things that you want to do. So I feel, and 100 years if you're very lucky.
mhm,
I feel like you need to prioritize that fun into your life. It is the most important thing. On the day of your funeral, no one is going to talk about all those days that you worked hard and that you had that great, beautiful car and you spent all those hours doing the work that well, except for Dr. Miriam, the work she's doing. Yeah, and everybody. But I'm just saying in general, they're gonna talk about the things that you left behind, the memories, the laughter, the joy, the things that you taught to your family and your
mm,
friends and your children. That joy that you have doing the things that you love is what people are gonna remember. And that's the
mm,
thing that when you're talking to your friend at 99 on the porch with your 25 cats smoking a big cigarette because you started at 99 years old. I told sorry, I'm not gonna digress, but I am going to. Told the kids, "I'm gonna start smoking when I'm about 95 years old because I just wanna have those long ones on the porch with."
Ah, yeah. You wanna look cool.
I looked at my mom, "That's so weird." I'm like,
And your pink lipstick left on your long cigarette.
I'm left in everything. Anyways, I do feel like that joy we need to get that is just so important to live with a little bit of joy and or a lot of joy if you can.
Thank you. Thank you. Nita, what would be your best lesson or advice you'd give to a woman who think they can't afford to have fun and chase their big mountain and achieve their big vision to change the world?
Well, fun is not a distraction, it's a
Mm,
necessity.
mm,
It fuels your creativity to move mountains, to be more productive, and to realize your dreams and other people's dreams as well. And so if you're ever stressed, have fun and it's going to fuel your creativity the next day.
mm. Thank you. It's beautiful. Miriam.
Ugh, I love your other speakers' answers. But uh, I'll pivot and I'll say that in order for you to change the world, you have to be able to tap into who you are and your
Mm,
essence. And in order for you to be yourself, be your authentic self, and have that sense that you're bringing out the best in you, fun is part of you that's going to fuel that for you. And in order to change the world, you have to be able to balance knowing how to care for yourself with the fun element attached to it. And if guilt comes your way, then
that's
that is something that's been hardwired in a lot of
mhm,
us. And the guilt will follow you. And a mentor of mine, a very wise mentor of mine, said, Miriam, don't worry if guilt comes your way. You just have to interpret guilt in a different way. So you do not follow and do what guilt tells you to do. You just see it as a sign that you're actually doing the right thing.
ooh,
So
I love
so I
that.
was like, "Oh, okay. So every time I feel guilty, the right sign."
Mm,
So it's been life-changing,
mhm,
that advice for me. And I hope for anyone, woman, man, whoever you are, if you're feeling guilty bringing fun to your life, think of it this way: guilt will chase you. It's really ultimately how you interpret the guilt.
mhm,
Interpret it as a sign that you're doing the right
mhm.
thing. So there you go.
Whew. Ah, that was a good one. You pulled that one out really well.
I just pulled it out of the hat.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So Mark is one of the best listeners that I've ever encountered on this planet. And I turned to him at this point after hearing the peppering of questions and asked him to share his one aha, his one what the, and his one So what do you got? Because there was a
Oh my
lot of
gosh.
good stuff in here.
I had to bust out the purple marker today because of y'all.
Oh.
Actually, if it's cool, I wanted to start with that Purcell Jacks quote, to like really show you what I was thinking about. Quote, a master in the art of living draws no sharp distinction between their work and their play, their labor and their leisure, their mind and their body, their education and their recreation. They hardly know which one is which. They simply pursue their vision of excellence through whatever it is that they're doing and leads others to determine whether they are working or playing. To themselves, they always appear to be doing both. And I just
Mhm,
wanted to read that because I felt like I was watching the embodiment of that.
mm,
So I guess for uh, when I saw you, Anita, talk about sort of uh, in high school, you were getting very involved doing multiple things. And here you are now, years later, doing the same thing. And I felt like you were talking about it's always felt good for me to do good. And so, like, that's what I
mm.
got out of what you were sharing. Um, Ariane, my ADHD friend, I, th- there's so many pieces there. Like when you talked about moving mountains by breaking them up into little tiny pieces. But really what showed up the most was when you were like, yeah, I'm having fun, I'm being kind until I'm disrespected. And there was this sort of protection of self being like, I'm not going to be nice, I'm not going to be a people pleaser, right? I am who I am, and me being kind and having fun is what I want to do until you take that away from me, right? um Dr. Miriam, my goodness, uh, the hard to say no piece. I think the biggest thing was when you were talking about your body being sort of like this alarm, and like when the things go off in the body, they're kind of sending these messages. But I think also when you came on and you said, "I am here to serve," that's it. That's what I felt like brought it all together. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. So thank you for giving me a front row seat to this.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mark.
okay. Now I'm going to share mine. Again, it was hard. I had to break out my yellow to compete against the purple because I'm also a triple A plus personality like Anita and all of you on the screen. Okay, so my was when Ariana, you talked about like your superpower of being able to we know to lift women up is part of the success of changing the world or moving a mountain. And you're able to see the women that can't lift that with you. And that superpower of someone who is unable to lift, and then that you reach out to them and you listen and you find out the why. And that was my I think that's really gonna sit in my heart. I'm gonna really be thinking about that one. Um well, I sleep tonight, I'm sure of it, I'm sure of it. Um, and Miriam, permission to feel guilt and having that be one of your indicators that that is the right path that you should be on. I freaking love that. I think women in particular are guilt ridden, right? We were raised, I know I talked to Mark about this. We were raised to, grow up. And, my mother stopped gallivanting to the day she died on her deathbed. Trina, stop gallivanting and cook your husband a dinner. And, I just like, Mom, I just love gallivanting. I can't stop. And you were raised this way to um grow up, and play is for kids and it's frivolous. And so that permission to feel that guilt, that's like one aha, and I will be preaching that out to the women that are listening to this. Um, and I think the other piece, Anita, when you talked about that working together, we have to work to none of this is possible, right? None of this is possible for anybody to succeed in moving their mountain and to, grab that fun and that play and that laughter and be able to, read and be able to prioritize it without your tribe around you, without your community, without your people, right? Whether that's or your environment. You can't this is you can't do it alone. And you all talked about that, right? Ariane, you go out on Friday night with your friends, and I'm sure you hardly ever miss that. You probably prioritize that. Friday night is my night. And Anita, I heard, the dancing and the people and the energy and the trips to Hawaii. I mean, that's filled. And Marianne, like, again, you're cooking. I can see you cooking in your kitchen with your husband, making big feasts for all the people around you. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? We need our people around us to make it all happen. So that was my another aha that came my way. So thank you. Thank you for that. And so many good things. We talked about the fun tool tonight about compliments. Miriam, I know you missed it at the beginning, but we talked about how, giving a compliment, and for us, it also is beneficial. It lifts us up. It lifts that person up. It's contagious. It's good for us. And then we also talked about how we can compliment our challenges. And I want to tell the listener today to practice that fun tool, right? Compliment your challenge. So I don't have to do this. I get to do this. So start changing and reframing how you are looking of your compliment your own challenges that you are tackling, and that will help you reset your framework. And it's a great resiliency tool that we easily can all do. So I want to thank you. I think Miriam just hung, but I'm going to thank all of you, Miriam and Anita and Arian, for giving up your time this evening and sharing. I think for me, the vulnerability of to admit that you got taken down by not having fun in your life or not prioritizing fun and, going through mental health. And Anita, I think even one time over coffee, you and I talked about like feeling like a robot. I mean, these are just none of us want to feel that way, which is why it's so important that we do prioritize fun, laughter, and play. And and we also know what amps us up. And it's just so good for our spirit and our being. So I want to thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable and honest with the world because that's hard to do. And thank you, Mark, for pulling together those ahas and the whatas and the hms because that your reflection in this type of spirit is really important for the world to hear and summarize and articulate it for people. So thank you for that. And thank you to the listeners, the fun fans, and taking care of your fun health by listening to this podcast is a great way to do that. On top of taking care of all the other healths in your world, your physical health, your mental health, your diet health, your I mean, there's so many healths, right? Health, health, health. We talk about that all the time, but we don't talk about fun health. But we are breaking and we're cracking the fun code. We're doing that. And please share this podcast with other women who need to hear us and want to be inspired that they can change and make change in this world and move those mountains. So thank you.